Let's break down each point and support intelligent design, ID, in a thoughtful manner. I don't have the time or crayons to explain how silly you sound. While the phrase is dismissive, it doesn't actually engage with the ideas behind intelligent design, ID. It's important to remember that many scientists, philosophers, and thinkers throughout history have supported the concept of a higher intelligence or designer because they believe it's the best explanation for the complexity and order observed in nature. If there's a serious scientific or logical critique to be made, it deserves more than ridicule. It deserves thoughtful rebuttal. You might be able to get away with God plans so far ahead that he created evolution, but you're not even doing that. Intelligent design, ID, is distinct from traditional creationism, which often denies evolution entirely. ID doesn't necessarily reject all aspects of evolution. Rather, it challenges the idea that evolution alone, through unguided natural processes, can fully account for the complexity of life. The argument isn't merely God-planned evolution, but that certain features of the natural world, like irreducible complexity or the information encoded in DNA, suggest purposeful design, not random chance. Scientists like Michael Behe have pointed to molecular machines like the bacterial flagellum, which seem too complex to have evolved through step-by-step Darwinian processes. God did it is the laziest explanation for anything. This assumes that proposing a designer or higher intelligence behind the universe is a lazy answer, but it could just as easily be said that dismissing ID without engaging with its arguments is equally lazy. ID isn't merely a God of the gaps argument. It's a positive inference based on what we know about information, complexity, and the fine-tuning of the universe. When scientists see highly ordered systems or vast amounts of information, they typically infer intelligence, as is the case with complex computer code or architectural blueprints. If nature exhibits similar complexity, why wouldn't the same inference apply? Explaining to children that the boogeyman is going to get them if they misbehave because they're too young to understand social conventions doesn't make the boogeyman real. This analogy suggests that belief in a designer is akin to believing in myths meant to scare children, which is a false comparison. ID is not a myth designed to frighten, but rather a serious scientific hypothesis that addresses real phenomena, such as the fine-tuning of physical constants, the information content in DNA, and irreducibly complex biological systems. Dismissing the concept of a designer as a boogeyman ignores the depth of the debate and the substantial arguments posed by ID proponents. ID proponents don't simply say God did it without reason. They argue that based on the evidence we see in the natural world, intelligence is a more reasonable explanation than unguided processes like natural selection or random mutations. Instead of assuming simplicity is a sign of intellectual laziness, it's important to engage with the actual content of the arguments.